Welcome back to the guest. Again, I'm LHS, and joining me on the desk this time is Taco. Taco, how you doing?
I'm doing great, especially after watching some of these matches that we've seen today. Pretty anticipated and all around incredibly exciting.
For sure. I mean, we started off the day with Manacors, and we had Titans. That was, a quick 2-0, a little quick. And then we had Juggernauts and the the Minotaurs, and that was just what we watched. But we have Manacors getting the 2-0 over Titans, and then Juggernauts getting the 2-1 over the Minotaurs. How do you feel about that? Is that kind of how you figured it would go down, or were there some surprises there?
Not really a surprise for me. I think for some of the fans at home, they might be a little bit surprised by how things ended up shaking out. I think probably more people were anticipating Raffer and co to sort of pull out the victory, but Juggernauts just had an excellent performance. BaRRaCCuDDa said it himself multiple times. It was his dream team, and I was also kind of just expecting Aror's team to topple over Ataraxias at the start of the day.
Yeah, and if we look at that, our game 2 of the day, I mean, look at that first game. Yammyn just went off. I mean, he couldn't be stopped. I mean, he had a consistent play throughout the day, but that game 1 Yammyn was just ridiculous. He did whatever he wanted. He ran around the map, getting these kills on this Freya, and I thought Freya was bad.
Freya, I don't think people remember sometimes just how much damage her ultimate can actually do, and that was really one of the stronger aspects, was the way that Yammyn utilized Freya. He built her purely for the magical damage, and she still deals a ton of damage as a mage.
Yeah, it's been a while, I feel like, since we've seen non-attack speed Freya, and like you said, people just forget about the sheer amount of damage that Freya can pump out, and that, I feel like that was kind of like an integral part of that team comp. It was just getting in, disrupting everything with so much damage that they would have to back, and then you just kind of ran rampant around the map.
It was a little bit like a well-oiled machine coming out from the Juggernauts. I mean, you have BaRRaCCuDDa running the Scotty 3 games in a row, and for a very good reason. That Permafrost ability just creates so much chaos, and against a team like the Minotaurs, where they really just want to keep establishing order, never really given the opportunity to do so because Jeff and BaRRa were just constantly disorienting that backline.
But after that dominance in game 1, Adapting said, no, you're not doing that again. He got on Hunbats and just proceeded to wreck shop. I mean, you look, he came to the duo lane, he was in duo, he was in solo, he was all over the map making these ganks, and they just didn't have an answer for him.
There wasn't really any answer. I mean, it's one of his staple gods, the Hun bots, and he was able to just do whatever the hell he wanted. That's exactly the kind of scenario you want to be in. And it's just the way that he positioned himself numerous times. It just seemed as though there was no escape for anybody on the side of Juggernauts.
I mean, really, what are you going to do when you have Hunbats blinking in and then you've got the fallout from the rest of the team? And like you said earlier with the well-oiled machine around the Freya, when you have a well-oiled machine around the Hunbats, it's, it leads to the same results.
It was the perfect pick because everything that the Juggernauts were doing was focused solely around just everybody working together, but when you have a Hunbats dropping his ultimate in that backline, really prevents anybody from staying together. Things can get incredibly hectic really fast, and so excellently executed by Adapting. I mean, he's been a 2-time world champion for a reason.
I mean, exactly, and then I think it was funny that in game number 3, backs are against the wall. What does Adapting pull out? He pulls out the Thor. I mean, that is his staple Adapting pick. How many times have we seen NRG or whatever state of team they're in, when they need to get the win, Adapting goes to that Thor. And, unlucky for him, it didn't pan out, but it was a hell of a game.
That seems to be kind of the story for every jungler ever. When your back's against the wall, you whip out the Thor. It's such a comfort pick, I would say, for majority of junglers. I mean, you've got the stun, you've got the damage from your 1 and your 3 spin to win, but they were not able to spin to win to victory. It was a little bit unfortunate. Raffer took a couple of early spills and kind of just kept dying, and it almost felt like a montage of Raffer at a certain point in time, but that's kind of just to be expected. He was focused out so much on that Geb support. It's one of the only downfalls for Geb. He can kind of struggle sometimes to build up the momentum that he needs to help his team with those shield cleanses and cataclysms.
There were so many points to look at in that game, but I think Cuvo's the one that stands out on this Nemesis. He was just able to get so much damage off, slow people, and then just be a disruptive force, getting to the back line time and time again and making these plays happen and setting up his teammates.
Well, what I loved about Cuvo on the Nemesis is that he played off of Yammyn and variety so much with this god. Yammyn was consistently consistently giving him portals and speed boost just to really ensure that he could chase down the Minotaurs, and there was pretty much no escape. It was absolutely beautiful.
It felt like he was a part of every point of team fights. He was at the back lane. Oh, nope, now he's at the front line. Oh, now the back lane is up. Now he's back over there. He was just constantly jumping wherever he was needed. That's all of a sudden, he was there.
And having a jungler that's that aware of where exactly everybody's going to try and be, like that kill exactly is so beautiful because you're expecting Morgan Zero's trying to just make a sneaky play, look to get the pick or a massive stun off for his team setup, and it just wasn't able to come to fruition because you had Cubo just constantly on guard.
For sure. And then looking back at our first game of the day, we got to look at Aror on the Ares. It's his signature god. He plays it so much. He's so good at it. And I don't think he'll get another chance to play it today because BaRRa just absolutely hates him. But he showed what he can do when he's the focal point on the Ares.
And that's the best part about this team, the Manacors, is because every single one of these members, they have such incredibly clean comms, and all of these players are so incredibly flexible with their god pools. They will play whatever they think suits the team best. Auror's able to play his aggressive supports that he loves to just run rampant with because you know you have Kiki and CaptainTwig to back you up.
I mean, you mentioned communication. I overheard Twig saying, like, being on this squad right now is probably some of the best communications from any team he's been on. And for this setting, for this tournament, I feel like that's a huge deal. Being able to talk, being able to coordinate everything and set up your entire playstyle in comms is hugely important and is so much better than just trying to, like, all right, well, I guess we know vaguely what we're going to be doing, you know?
It's pretty insane when you think about it because a lot of these players, you know, it's taken them years even for some of these pairings to build up that synergy with each other. And the fact that all of these teams are really able to come together kind of a last minute and still put on a hell of a performance, I've got to give kudos really to everybody involved.
Definitely. These teams are just, the way that the Manacors are coming together and just really gelling, it's really telling about these picks. I mean, everybody kind of looked at Auror's team and was like, what's he doing? Why these picks? But if you think about it, these guys are all workhorses. I mean, we've said it before on our first death segment where these are guys who maybe not be the all-stars, big, huge names. Like, no, there's not like a BaRRaCCuDDa name. There's not an adapting a Cubo or something like that. But these are guys who go in and game out and make things happen. Twig will go die, but there'll be a kill that comes in retaliation. And then Kiki will make a transition. I mean, he joined Trifecta, and all of a sudden, oh, Trifecta starts winning. These are all guys who are glue guys, and then you put them all together, and oh, they're making stuff happen.
That's kind of what makes this so much fun, though, is you've got such different personalities on both of these teams, and they're going to be facing off against each other. BaRRaCCuDDa's team, allegedly some of the bigger names in SMITE for both EU and NA. These guys have all been individual stars at some points in their career, and sure, there's nothing to be taken for granted on Aror's side of things, but the Manacors overall, they're kind of just the players that usually lead to the assistance of those highlighted individuals, and now when you have a bunch of the assistants kind of boosting each other, they're all just looking phenomenal.
I mean, the perfect example of that is, I mean, game number 2 in that first set, we have CaptainTwig, and he's doing exactly what we're saying he's doing. He's setting up his team. He's on the circuit, which we haven't actually seen a lot from him over this past split, just because he's been favoring the Odin and the other warriors, but he still showed that he can very much still play the circuit.
And it was perfect because he had Kiki on the Camazotz this game, and Kiki pretty much felt like a warrior more so than running a double assassin composition, so Twig was able to make those super aggressive plays early on. He opted for the blink. He just wanted to go in and establish a lead from the get-go.
Now, I know that they didn't win, but I want to point out for Game 2 in Titans, that Ganesh Soul combination with Wubbin and Pretty Prime, how many times they got the knock-up from Ganesh into the Soul ult. It was beautiful. I feel like it was so good, I couldn't let it not get some attention.
Well, Wubbin did a pretty strong job all around that game as far as the silencers are concerned. He locked out Twig a few times, actually, and prevented his escapes or prevented his continued aggression, which is incredibly important considering that you don't don't want to allow a Circuit to pretty much free cast on your entire backline. So that was a pretty fun set, although, like we mentioned, it was a 2-0 in favor of the Manticores. And now that we're getting a chance to see whether or not they're going to be as dominant, I should say, in this next performance against BaRRaCCuDDa.
Yeah, so we got Manacors versus Juggernauts. We've got Kiki, Variety, Twig, Cubo, Yammyn, and TheBest, and then BaRRa and Jeff, and then Aror and emilitoo. There's so many matchups, and it's so interesting to see what's going to happen here because the Manacors are so flexible in what they can pick. You don't really know what they're going to do. Is Kiki going to play an assassin? Is he going to play a guardian? Is he going to play a warrior? What's Aror going to do? And then CaptainTwig as well. There's so many options that they have, and that really opens up what they can do, these team comps that they have at their disposal. And are the Juggernauts going to be able to really anticipate anything?
I just don't want to see BaRRaCCuDDa get Scotty for technically a 4th game in a row. I would like to see somebody take that god away from him because it's just too much backline control. And with a team like BaRRaCCuDDa is getting to pilot on the Juggernauts, you just have so many incredibly strong players as far as mechanics are concerned. You just don't want to make it any easier for them.
I mean, if you're Manacors, you mentioned you want to see the Scotty taken away. What else do you try to take away? I mean, these are all-star teams, so it's not like anybody is really that easy to like target ban or ban out. I mean, you're just basically trying to like force them to not have a direct counter to what you're building.
I think it's better to put a little bit more emphasis for these two teams on AoE kind of team fighting. That's kind of the direction I feel these teams to lean towards, considering that you know they're going to have clear comms, you know that they can trust each other and have confidence in each other. So why not just focus pretty much purely on the team fighting aspect? You don't need a lot of single target gods. Like, I don't really anticipate the Circuit kind of picks that we saw coming out from CaptainTwig unless there's heavy CC already on the side of Manticores.
All right, let's take a look at a matchup. I think Kiki Variety is probably the best matchup to look at here because they do have pretty contrasting styles. I mean, we talked about how flexible this team is and how various, Kiki's god pool is, but it's also his play style, his playing for the team, whereas Variety is going to play just a little bit more selfishly. How is that going to impact the game overall?
I think overall, Kiki's probably going to be looking to make more of the team fighting rotation. So Manticores are going to have to keep an eye out for Variety, however, who seems to be leaning more towards the buff invade kind of direction. Sure, Twig likes to play aggressive from time to time, but that could be incredibly difficult to pull off when you're facing off against Cubo and Variety, who already those two have just been such dominant forces on their own team. So I can only imagine them getting to continue it on this new one.
All right, so at the end of it all, when all is said and done, who do you think is gonna take the wins here? I mean, is it gonna be one way? Is it gonna be quick for somebody? Is it gonna be? Are we gonna see it go to all 5 games? Are we gonna see 4 or 5 40-minute games or?
This is going to rely purely on the drafting phase. It's so incredibly close as far as talent is concerned between these two teams. I think it's just going to be the 1 or 2 god picks that somebody might not have been anticipating, or just the slightest early game lead that could potentially lead into that snowball effect that we're pretty accustomed to seeing from time to time. And all around, I don't think that it'll go all 5 games. I could kind of lean more towards 3-1 in favor of BaRRa.
3-1 in favor of BaRRa. Interesting. I want to believe in Manacors, what they've done so far. And I kind of disagree with you just a little bit in where you're saying it's going to be pick and bans. I think it's going to be more in-game. I don't think the pick and bans is really going to matter as much. It's going to be whoever makes a mistake first or who can capitalize on a moment. These team comps, they're going to be wild in both sides, I believe. I mean, especially from Auror's side, you never know what he's going to do. But just being able to play the moment. I think the moment's going to be big, and I'm going to disagree. I think it's going to be Manacors. I think the Manacors are going to take it 3-2. I think it's going to go all 5 games, and I think Manacors are going to have fun with it, but they're loose. They've got the synergy, and I think they're going to be able to use that to their advantage.
Well, I'm certainly excited to see what and how it's going to shake out between these two teams.
All right, so before we throw it to our casters for this last game, we're going to throw it over to the caster contestant, Patrick. Learn a little bit about Patrick.
Patrick Schoaf. IGN's unexceptional. Well, kind of. I mean, I have a million names across a million platforms. My Twitch name is unexceptional. I should really change my Xbox to that. Although now I feel like I've established my PC name is Poof will do for. From Chicago, living in Omaha right now with my wife. Moved around a lot in the last couple of years. Mostly been following her around because she keeps getting better jobs. Well, for a while now, it's been wake up, take a shower, and then hang out with dogs while I try to get a job.
Now that's a guy I can get behind. Not those guys. These guys and Patrick Schoof. We've done the caster before, and that was kind of fun. Now, we've got 2 extra people here. We're going to be doing this big time style. It's me, Hindu Man, and then Ryan Agro Bailey, all in lowercase, of course. Always. We're going to bring the finals to you. But as we said, the caster was kind of fun. I saw that first video, though. You're a part of it, too.
I get to be a judge.
Yeah.
I just basically get to laugh and joke at people's expense, which is what I do on a daily basis, so it's business as usual.
I was going to say, that's really not that different than what you do around the office right now.
The only difference is those guys had talent, but it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it'll work out.
I walked into that one.
You did?
Yeah.
And you're going to keep walking into it.
I will the entire time.
You are flanked by both sides of the Savage coin. And coming into the finals, where we've got 2 Savage teams as well, Juggernauts versus Manacors. It's going to be an interesting one. Aror, his team really impressed me earlier.
Aror's team, though, they came as underdogs on paper. Everybody looked at the underdogs that were the Manticores and went, Aror kind of went for friends and they're okay players. I mean, would you class them as all-stars? Well, they're showing they are.
Absolutely. I mean, I had no doubts about the potential of this team because, yes, they might not be the 5 best mechanical players in their roles across both regions, but these are 5 players that can fit any sort of role, that can play any sort of god. They can all be the jack of all trades, and they can all carry a game. And that's really all you need. Their communication has been solid so far. Their teamwork has been solid so far. Their drafting's been good. I mean, what else could you want out of a team?
The thing is, they're a little light on actual trophies across the way. They're up against BaRRaCCuDDa and the likes who actually have a world championship under their belt. So this might be a brief reprise from the big competition, but let us remind you, the world championships is coming. That's in January. We've got the fall split beforehand, but let's take a look at how different teams make their way to HRX, or the SMITE World Championship. Oceania, over there on the left.
So a couple of different things to show you here. Obviously, Oceania, Latin America, and Brazil. That's their formats, when the dates are going to begin, and also the format of how they're going to get their way through to SWC 2018. Asia as well is next on the list.
Yes, begins September 7th. And remember, I mean, all these teams that have been coming, these international teams coming to HRX, they get better every single year. So make sure you get a chance to check out some of these teams that may be coming to HRX, because don't be surprised if 1 or 2 of them take some games off these NA and EU powerhouses.
Yeah, we've been broadcasting the Asian games as well. A name called Youngbei seems to be playing over there in that league.
Dracula 5 is the one that I'm really looking at. The real man of mystery.
Miss me with that. I'm all about the Youngbei.
And then here, our hometown North American and EU friends, SPL Fall Split. We all know how that one works out. And the Super Regionals, we know how that one works out as well. The Gauntlet is kind of my favorite. That's where we take everybody else, basically. We line them up in seed order, and the worst hits up the second worst. The winner of that goes against the third worst, and then who knows who makes it to the top.
And the Gauntlet is the best thing about that is you always find these surprise teams that go on a run you weren't expecting. Yeah. And potentially even make it through to Super Regionals.
Yeah. This time a little bit different. Last time we had an SPL Gauntlet LAN. This one is going to be online, but we've got 10 teams in total, so it's going to be really, really crazy. This time a best of 3 among that SPL Gauntlet, sure to be just as exciting as last year's.
And the Fall Split, I mean, this is the very next competition that we're going to get to see. And, you know, this is sort of a preview. It's all-star teams. It's amalgamation of different squads. But what we're seeing this weekend is a little insight into what the Fall Split might hold. This is the first time we're seeing high-level competition since the mid-season patch. So there are some more changes. Shouts to Freya. But a lot of the game is kind of how it is, as it will be.
Yeah, really close to, at least for the time being. Obviously, the Freya buff's coming through. RTO due to be released as well. We got to see Cucullin for the first time as well this weekend. Yeah. Yep. Still going to get his name wrong. It's going to happen, but it'll get better. Cucullin is definitely in the game, and he's going to be available, but he's a good old laddie, so everyone's going to be happy about that.
I mean, he's been pretty solid so far. It was the Manticores that really seemed to like him, and Titan as well, that Titan was picking him very early in those drafts. Juggernauts didn't really go for the Cucullin pick at all. Let's see if they want to go for it this time around up against the Manticores.
Game 1 of our best of 5 series here in the finals of the NRG Invitational. P's and B's, pretty please.
There we go. Emilitoo is going to be the first one on the screen, and for me, he was a real standout on the Manticores this game. I think the last set we saw, the semifinals, that Ul play was fantastic.
Both games, and Ullr is not a character we've seen a whole lot of recently. No transcendence for Ullr. Like, what is that? But emilitoo making it work without a doubt. He played lights out in the semis.
I love how quick those first two, all the bans came out. Basically, no Robin and no Kronos. Basically, Robin's too tough, and, well, Emil literally has a skin. No Odin for Kiki, and the Manacores don't want to see Sun Wukong on anybody, but I guess I can shout out Dimmy.
So what's the option here? I mean, we're looking down the list. There's a lot of things still available right now. But first pick options?
Osiris, yeah. Osiris was going to come out
Still
of my
not
mouth.
nerfed.
Still not nerfed, exactly. So he's going to be really, really strong with that Judgment Tether, continuing to provide that overtime damage mitigation the longer that you're tethered.
Don't forget, Twig was actually playing Osiris in the jungle earlier today and previously in the split, so it's certainly something to watch out for.
And you mentioned that, the Osiris in the jungle. Well, they did draft the Terra as well to go alongside that. This time around, though, Juggernauts going to take the Terra for themselves, recognizing that could be a potential thing for the Manticores.
Terra was picked every single game by Juggernauts until it was banned away during the second ban phase. No surprise that Jeff immediately wants to go back to his comfort pick.
Thoth guy going to be the mid-mage selected here for the Manticores alongside Zotz. And again, this is sort of what we've seen. We know where Thoth is going to go. That's the best, and he might be the best. The Osiris and the Camazotz, like I said, we always talk about how the Manticores are the flex squad. Well, Osiris was played in the jungle, and Zotz was played in the solo for this team before. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but frankly, I think we're going to see Kiki on the bat.
Definitely interchangeable, and I kind of agree with you, Tom. I think it is going to be the Camazotz in the solo lane, but depends on the matchup.
That might have been the initial idea, but Nemesis now drafted for the Juggernauts means that maybe they want to keep that warrior away from the warrior shredder that is Nemesis. Try and keep that alone on the solo island and make sure that you're not going to be worried about that Nem ult all the time.
That's the beauty of the team that the Manticores have. They can select the Osiris and the Camazotz and go, hey, we're going to play oddball and keep them on the back foot, keep them a little unshaky. Well, we're going to see the standard Nemesis, and then, all right, we'll keep Osiris away from the Nem, and we'll go a little bit more standard. They have the option, which is nice.
It's just like a classic LAN this, though, because you see the LAN meta develop as time goes on. Ares banned out by the Juggernauts, a little bit worried with having a Terra and a Nemesis on their team, that Ares against them, played by Aror, could cause them a lot of problems. Same can be said for that skirmish that BaRRaCCuDDa's been going to a lot.
That's true. BaRRa played Scotty all 3 games in that semifinal matchup, and let's be real here. BaRRaCCuDDa would have wanted to ban Ares against Aror if he hadn't played Ares in a year consecutively. He just hates going up against that character in competitive play, especially when it's someone as well-versed as Aror.
And before you may. Just because, like, that's the two things that BaRRaCCuDDa hates so much, he had it banned in multiple tournaments before. Ares and Yammyn.
Manticore is trying to figure out their last ban here, and it will be the Ul. An interesting choice here. We saw Emil play it earlier. We saw some, but BaRRaCCuDDa didn't really bring him out. So with the Ullr banned, we see Hou-Yi.
I don't know if Ul is really the right ban there from the Manticores. They're a little bit too worried about BaRRaCCuDDa playing Ul. Ul isn't a hyper carry. He's just a consistent damage dealer in the early game. His damage numbers seem quite high. He does spike quite nicely.
Oh, here we go.
But very ability based.
Here we go. I think that's why the Ullr was banned.
Oh no, it's flashbacks.
Is it? This is a hell support.
Yeah, this is hell support.
This is a hell support. And again, I love to see the weird stuff come out from the Manticores. Hell support. Now, just in case Osiris winds up support, but I really and truly believe this will be a hell support Chiron lane. Aror Shen going to wrap things up for the Juggernauts.
I mean, Aror got his warm-up on Hell yesterday, am I right? He was ready to go in terms of timing those cleanses, the slows, pumping out the damage.
And the word you said there is the key word for this Hell that could work is the cleanse. The cleanse could really make a big impact against the Juggernauts. They've actually got double cleanse with the Chiron pickup too here. Slows from Nemesis get cleansed out. Walls from Terra cleansed out as well.
I think you just nailed I think you got it on the head, which is why we see this dual lane. The double cleanse is going to come into it's going to be a very big deal here for the Manticores as we get into game. The Juggernauts, no slouches themselves, though. A lot of basic attack stuff, not just the Soul, Nemesis, Hou-Yi, and Aror Shen, a little bit front-loaded.
Mobility is what I see on that side for sure. With the Terra added to this as well, Nemesis, Hou-Yi, Erlang, Shen, very mobile gods, as is Soul. Add Terra to the mix, even better.
That's true, but how much mobility do you need to get away from Camazotz ult? It's basically like Giannis ult, and that's about the end of it. I mean, you cannot get away from an ulting Camazotz.
Manticores, Juggernauts, game number 1, and as Taka would say, Hell yeah, with the hell support. So excited to see the oddball stuff coming out. Emilitoo is going to be the Chiron over there. And then on the right side of your screen, BaRRaCCuDDa and QvoFred. I say right side because the way they control the right side of that map is terrifying.
Keep an eye on the jungle for Manticores too. CaptainTwig on the Osiris, as we kind of expected here. Did start with the Frenzy though. Now the Frenzy at the beginning means you're going to get a little bit more wave push, but it does mean you've got better kill potential too.
Not only, exactly, you have your kind of option, and that's what Osiris does so well in the early game. He's got an option to out-clear you with those cleave auto attacks, using the Death Toll in order to heal himself up pretty effectively as well. And he's got the option to just perma-slow you and get you killed.
So we brought up the fact that CaptainTwig might be playing the Camazotz because of the jungle Nemesis. No, says the Manacors, stick to your style, and it will be Twiggy on the Osiris, leaving Kiki in the solo lane on the bat versus BaRRaCCuDDa with no teleport.
Now, Aror's also started off with Sprint here, which is going to be very useful against this team. We mentioned their mobility and the amount of slows they're going to have that can be cleansed. Well, another thing that cleanses those slows is that Sprint.
Frenzy comes out looking more for the wave clear than the fight. I know I always say Frenzy means fight, but when you're going up against the Soul and the Nemesis with Bluestone, that is a lot of early game pressure. So the Frenzy comes out just to sort of try and match that, but even with the Relic, not enough to make it happen.
In that case, Frenzy still means fight, because minions do more damage in the early game than anything else, so I like that idea there from the Manticores. Kiki, again, starting his own blue buff, foregoing early pressure on the wave to make sure that he can hit level 2 as quickly as possible.
I like the way from BaRRaCCuDDa there. He doesn't really get much of a reward, but just trying to slow down the speed, being taken in the jungle, keeps Manticores in the back foot for now. Meanwhile, the dual lane for the Juggernauts here, with that Terra slowly getting towards 3, the power spike starts to come through in terms of wave clear.
The hardest part about laning at something like Hell Support is that
Minion
right
heal.
there, is how do you deal with healing up those minions? Emil almost gets triple bounce there between the walls from Jeff and BaRRaCCuDDa, but until you can physically insta-clear the wave, which Hu-Yi doesn't get until very late in the mid-game, you're going to have a tough time insta-clearing this wave.
But Aror's now out of mana here, so definitely pressure has been relieved on this lane now. Plenty of sustain still from, obviously, Chiron and a Hell too. But here's the engagement, the pressure's on. BaRRaCCuDDa with the in-hands are good, but he can't find the last basic.
Sprint is good. Getting Emilitoo just barely out of trouble. And look at the power of this situation. Now, Aror, he doesn't have much sustain his way of the mana as far as his mana is concerned, but he's going to be able to keep Emilitoo alive. And as long as you're above 0, you're still doing it.
And that's the main thing they're going to be looking to do. Mid lane, though, CaptainTwig starting to flank round the back up against Yammyn. But Yammyn's positioning has been very solid so far this tournament, as per usual. And on top of that, he's just so tricky to pin down.
Soul is definitely one of the safest guys in the mid lane. Not only do you get the increased movement speed from Disapparate, but the slow immunity as well. That is huge up against this roster for the Manticores.
Kiki taking the fight to BaRRaCCuDDa one-on-one. Nice little bounce. To the Echo, and Kiki can do this fight comfortably because he knows how much natural HP 5 or lifesteal he's going to get out of the bat, and then BaRRaCCuDDa, well, he's got the Death Toll, so both of them are down to fight past 50%.
Talk about Death's Toll. Well, Kiki started with Death's Toll here, and sometimes you do see a Bluestone start from Camazotz. This to me tells me that Kiki is a little bit worried about maybe getting more aggro than he intended to with the Bluestone ticks, so would rather play this a little bit more passive at the start and then just sustain back up, and obviously get sustained from that Death's Toll.
Plus, I think people forget about Camazotz solo. Everyone was so worried about all these cleave auto attack damage dealers, the Osiris, the Bellona, the Erlang, Shen. Camazotz has a cleave as well, and so he can really get a lot of healing off of that Death Toll proc, even with the recent nerfs to it.
I love how quickly Emil turns tail. Oh, look, they're out of my lane. I can farm safe. Just kidding. No, I'm not here anymore. Just turns around and hits the dash because he knows that Aror has to go back. Early back for Aror. Just for the heal, but right side. Kiki gets the kill on BaRRaCCuDDa.
Oh, but hold up, it was BaRRaCCuDDa that got the kill on Kiki. First of all, the tower comes into play, making it a 1-for-1. So in the end, Juggernauts come out on top because they got that first blood.
In one way, yes, but remember, Kiki has teleport and BaRRaCCuDDa does not, so Kiki's going to miss, and he's going to grab this entire wave, while BaRRaCCuDDa is going to only get the back end of this.
We'll see.
Keep in mind that BaRRaCCuDDa will have boots 3 when he comes back to lane, where Kiki, because he didn't get that first blood bounty, only has boots 2.
And that's the thing with the teleport now, is because I feel like Transformations is going to get you there in enough time with some Wukong or Erlang Shen to not lose as much as you may think he was going to. So in the end, it still works out in Juggernaut's favor here, for the time being at least.
It's about what BaRRaCCuDDa can do with this extra power spike that Kiki does not have. How much can he pressure with these completed Warrior Tabi as opposed to the rank 2 combat boots for Kiki?
Kiki loses the battle for the last hit there underneath his own blue buff. CaptainTwig just trying to provide a little bit of pressure. Not really looking for a kill here, folks. Just trying to push Variety out of the lane just a little bit. Give Kiki some breathing room because he is playing that bat and he needs some help on that character.
It's also for Twig to create enough room for him to get his own speed buff too, and not worried about the the Erlang Shen ping coming over the wall that could cause some problems as well. Right inside, the blue buff did go down, not picked up by Kiki there, unfortunately. So bit more denial of mana in the lane, and Kiki's dying again on that left-hand side. Both of them are, and it's been forced to ult.
Both ults down, but that absolutely favors the Juggernauts because Variety's using that ultimate, yes, to CC Kiki and try and get the kill, but also to get that sustain back from that ultimate heal. Now, you can see Kiki using those Devour pools from the kills earlier on in that lane. He has 2 of those, one from his own body and one from that of Variety, in order to sustain back up in this lane okay.
My biggest issue with the Manticore's comp here, though, and this is one of the reasons why you normally see Guardians over sustained mages coming into the duo lane, their front line is kind of weak here. You're going to be relying on resustaining and juking out a lot of abilities over being able to take a lot of damage with your front line and have your back line deal damage.
Plus, there's a lot of characters here that can apply anti-heal very easily. A lot of Divine Ruin for Soul and Brawler's Beat Stick for Cubo.
Variety in some trouble. Aror gets hit by the Nemesis ultimate, so he's going to be safe on the right-hand side. Best sliding up a shot through the wall. Taking it safe, not going for it. Frenzy, and that's the green light. Here comes the shot, warming up by the Best. Ultimate from the Soul as well. That's going to split the teams and hopefully make everybody
Aror
safe.
Is in trouble, but he will get away. Cubo doesn't want to continue chasing, knowing Kiki and Twig and the Best were just around the corner.
Beautiful ultimate by Yammyn in order to get it out, but Variety really low here.
See ya, Variety going to go into the turtle and get a little bit of a safety shell. QvoFred. Is he going to dash forward? The answer is no. Just going to clap on Kiki. Half HP on the bat. Nice jump away from Jeff's walls. And that's going to be safety for everyone involved.
For the time being, at least. But I love what both teams did there. Look at how Kiki, I'm not sure if he had his leap up the whole time, but it looked like he was holding it for the right moment. As soon as the walls are on him, and as soon as he knows he's going to get hit, leaps away to safety.
So here's a problem that I noticed. I think as the game goes on, frontline will be less of an issue. I think Kel will get tanky. Yammyn needs some tankiness over here, slowed down by emilitoo. 1 shot, 2 shot, not enough. Does he have the cooldown?
I don't think he does.
No, he just used it. He just used it. Yammyn's going to be A-okay.
But my point is, tankiness is one thing. Lack of initiation, another thing.
Sure, and the big initiation for them really will be a stun from Thoth, or basically trying to get Twig in range to stun them down. Twig, though, might be able to catch BaRRa here. Where's Jeff when you need him?
1 slow, 2 slow. There's a stun. Nice ages to avoid the damage. The sun's come down. Does he have the jump to go over the wall? No! But BaRRaCCuDDa still has enough oomph to chase CaptainTwig out. There's the dash, there's the root. Twiggy in trouble. Twiggy in the ground. BaRRaCCuDDa with the kill.
A call for Jeff, and what happens? Jeff turns up and makes it a turnaround play where Twig falls down instead. BaRRa bought a lot of time in that team fight, though.
I can't believe he lived for that long. Now, Best in a lot of trouble. No dash in mid.
Just walked down by QvoFred. Aror shows up just a hair too late. Can't heal his longtime mid lane teammate. And down goes Best for the first time this game.
A lot of scrapping across the whole map, and this is what you probably expect to see when it's 2 international mixed teams playing together in a final in a best of 5. They're going to be trading blows here and there. One player outplaying another player outplaying another consistently every single time.
Especially with the level of player we have here. I mean, this is an all-star event for a reason. All of these players have absolute game-changing potential with one play that can happen very quickly.
And that's the type of stuff that I like to see, is emilitoo just daring the double bounce coming out from BaRRaCCuDDa. I'm going to back here. Confidence is just as high as the level of skill at this land.
Well, now Kiki's got himself to a decent spot now. Obviously, now that he's got enough sustain coming out from this Camazotz, leveled up his abilities to level 10 now as he dings there. Variety can't put as much pressure on as he would want without a full commit.
Cubo is lurking here and has his ultimate. Variety, I think, is trying to bait Kiki in, but so hard to gank a Camazotz that still has ultimate available.
And look at that. Even with no wards up top, guys, Kiki's just feeling something. How long has he been playing solo?
You just know. How long is he playing the game, I guess, is the better idea, because Kiki's changed enough roles now to be able to say he understands most. But you know when a player's playing slightly different than usual, and someone like Variety, who's generally hyper-aggressive, playing passive.
This is excellent for Kiki, actually, because I figured he'd be leveling that third ability, that Devour, but he's gone for full damage with these Vampiric Bats, so he's going to transition really well Didn't need that early sustain that Devour usually gives you.
And now he's going for the fight, diving right underneath the tower. Terra ultimate to help out Variety, however, as CaptainTwig shows his face, intercepting the inevitable gank coming from QvoFred.
Big win for Kiki and Manticores, though, but the wraparound is on its way. Jeff's turned up, root onto Twig. Twig has his ultimate available, but the walls will keep him pinned in place. No over panic, though, coming out from him as Kiki just continue to sustain and keep the pressure.
Love the way Twiggy saves his ultimate. He knows I don't need it right now. BaRRa might need some help. Can't find the angle, so not going to get the stun onto emilitoo. Double side here on the right-hand side, however, as Jeff's dealing with that.
BaRRa and Emo going 1v1 on the left side, of just those two on the left side, but ultimate for ultimate, nothing doing.
Surprisingly enough, the only reason that little team fight happened, that little skirmish, is because BaRRa used the ricochet and missed. As soon as that was down, emilitoo goes, hang on a second, I can't be stunned, let's have a Barney.
That's what we were talking about before. I will address the Barney later. Is the cleanse coming out from Aror there. As soon as he gets Erlang pinned, he's like, all right, look, I'm getting out of here. Who was it that brought Erlang Shen into the setup man position? Aror himself. Look for Aror to use that second ability a lot, and TheBest certainly needs it right now. Aror's going to help out with the heal, but he gets taken down himself. QvoFred, flanked by JeffHindla and Yammyn. Down goes the support.
I like the idea there, and it almost looked like they might get away because a split target. Yammyn wanted to go for best, whereas Cubo clearly wanted to knock down Aror. Ends up not mattering in the end, but Cubo might be in a little bit of trouble. Double Nemesis dash gets him out of danger, though.
Yeah, and Kiki was hanging around there too. The shield comes into play, but it's back to farming once more now. Just that death to Aror, which isn't doom and gloom unless Twig gets in trouble.
There's a taunt. He gets knocked up as well. Twiggy's going to have to use the ultimate. Right over the wall he goes. And Kiki going to be, well, safe for the moment. But there's a dash too. Kiki looking for the help. Goes for the ultimate. Sends Jeff the other direction. Best comes up too far. Trying to help his teammate. Throws his life away. But Kiki makes sure it's not for nothing. Taking down Yammyn as well.
Variety's
Kiki in a
trouble.
second going for Variety.
And Variety has no ultimate available, but the Terra's blessing coming into
Shell.
play. The leap is good. Shell and the turtle form. Chiron with the snipes, but is it enough?
He's got the slow. Where's the follow-up? Aror and Kiki on the run. They have a speed up thanks to the hail from Aror. And the long-range magic missile. Aror's crushing it.
emilitoo's really crushing it, though. He just put so much damage down and dealt with QvoFred. Now Kiki could potentially clean it up, but he misses.
Oh, the dot won't be applied. 3-on-2. Power on the blue side. JeffHindla and BaRRaCCuDDa, the long-time duo lane on the right side of the map. Caught in the suns. Aror flies too close. Down he goes.
And now next on the list is Kiki, low on mana, rooted in place. BaRRa leaps over the wall. No mark on, so it wasn't a knock-up, and Kiki should be able to get back towards the tower at least.
BaRRa's in some trouble. Has to use the Aegis, though, as Twig's still here, but he's only level 9 now. The aggression is on the Twig.
Running away, and he'll find safety under the tower. I loved the juke boots out of Kiki. He dodges to the left and then immediately runs towards the minions, knowing he's going to block the shots out of the Hunter.
But Fire Giant Portal Demon, I should say, correction, started up. I always call it Fire Giant, because when I type VGS now, I go attack Fire Giant.
Fire Giant Jr.
Oh, I like it. Fire Giant JR. I'll take that one. We can go with that. So Portal Demon was looked at for a second by Juggernauts, which I like the call with the soul there, the extra damage from the heat on the ground too. But obviously Manticores, they're all fighting all day.
This is, and that's really what the Manticores want with this composition, right? They want Twig to be in the front line, absorbing cooldowns, and getting healed by Aror. emilitoo has some sustain in that kit as well, don't forget, with the Chiron passive. So there's really the double sustain. Chiron healing is about as effective as Terra healing at this stage in the game. So it's really 2-to-1 in terms of healers in the Manticores.
And we talk about healers, still no anti-heal really online for either team. Oh, sorry, Brawler's Beat Stick for CaptainTwig is the first thing on. The Lotus Crown, however, on Aror on this hell is so useful because when you pop that 3, that heals the whole team around you in a dot form, it actually reprocs the Lotus Crown every single time.
That's what I was going to say. The dot form is what's most important about that. It kind of acts as a sovereignty that gives you some magical power as well.
It's just 20. Is that not enough?
20 that's that consistently throughout a whole team fight, though, and by the time it wears off, you can probably be refreshed, is a free 20 for your team. And when you think about what Lotus Crown's giving you compared to what a Sovereignty would give you in terms of a hell build, it's definitely more beneficial.
I I love just how aggressive this team is. Best dash almost into the damn tower, looking for the stun onto Yammyn, ready and waiting to fire. Dashes one more time, and he finds the stun, and he finds the ult! The Best sends Yammyn to the nether realm!
It's not often that Yammyn does something unusual, and he took a step forward after the Disapparate was on cooldown, and Best goes, surprise! And it wasn't a good time.
Surprise for Twig as BaRRa takes the 1v1. Now Cubo's here, throws the ultimate onto Best, trying to just disrupt this
Good
Gold
knockup.
Fury.
Good knockup from emilitoo, and the snipes won't clean it up on its own, though. He needs the masterful shot, and it's not going to be available yet. BaRRa's in trouble, too.
The shots are good on BaRRa, and the shots are good onto his support. emilitoo wrapping around the backside. Aurora might fall down, but the Best takes care of BaRRaCCuDDa. JeffHindla now the next target. Dashing forward, finding the stun as the mid laner, finding the slow as the hunter, finding the clap as the support, and finding the kill is the entirety of the team.
6 to 7, only a 1k gold lead at the moment in favor of the Manticores. Gold Fury still stands, but emilitoo, for me, in that fight, made a big impact.
Absolutely, the long-range shots. Kiki actually in some trouble here on the right. I don't know if he knew Yammyn was coming, but gets up into the ultimate before the supernova helps.
Thought for a second Cubo might give chase with the speed buff there, but he is against Camazotz, who can resustain back up, and now Manticore's on the left. Start the Gold Fury, change their mind after a little bit of time.
The world's slowest objective attempt. In a world where we're seeing so many objective compositions, I don't think the Chiron and the Hell are going to do it anytime soon. So Manticores have to back off that one. Even without the Gold Fury, however, a little bit of 1,000 gold in the lead for the blue team.
But look at BaRRaCCuDDa's build. He has the Ichaival and the Shifter Shield. emilitoo just now finishing an Ichaival of his own. I was wondering what Emil was going to go for. I think that we've seen a lot of builds move away from Ichaival so far this weekend, surprisingly enough, especially on the Scotty for BaRRaCCuDDa. That's really the only one, I should say, that's really going away from Ichaival, unless it's Panda Cat with the Devourer's Gauntlets. But in this situation, because BaRRa goes Ichaival, Emil is forced to. You can't have one Ichaival without one of your own on your side, or else you just outright lose every trade.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, even it's less about the trade in lane and more about the multiple team fights. I would have expected to see a Crusher or a Brawler's Beat Stick come out on emilitoo, but because we're seeing so many fights here this early on, it's gotta be the Ichaival.
Gold Fury getting very low here, and it looks like it will go to Juggernauts for free. Zone Duty's job was JeffHindla. Gonna pop his ult defensively, but I think he's still in trouble.
There's the ultimates out of emilitoo through the wall, finding the target. CaptainTwig with the dunk just to make it stick. The Osiris relatively low here, but Aror showing up just to provide the heals and the extra support.
Kiki's still dueling with Cubo, and with Yammyn turning up, Kiki's going to take on a trade that's a lot more difficult. Forced to butt out of hell, back to safety of his team, finds Variety on his exit, and Variety's still in trouble.
Kiki also brings the rest of the Juggernauts into the clutches of the Manticores. emilitoo picks up one, QvoFred is next, and the Bat takes him down. Kiki again with the kill.
Kiki very easily could have just swooped through mid-harpies, but as you mentioned, bringing everyone towards the Manticores, perfect team fight. You need to be grouped as a healing composition, and the Manticores have done that beautifully so far.
It's all about the communication here. Kiki looks like he's going wild, but Manticores aren't there to provide the support. Heals from Aror, slows from a CaptainTwig, and there's the stuns and the big damage coming out from the Best. Dashing forward is Hindla, finding a route, but just not enough.
Just trying to buy time on the minions. This tier 2 tower a little bit tankier than previously in the start of the season, but it's enough time for Manticores to take it down, but not enough time potentially to get them more.
17 minutes is just too long to have no anti-heal against a Hell, and you can see what's happening to the Juggernauts
But the problem
without
is,
it.
I was looking at the anti-heal options. I'm like, well, Brawler's Beat Stick, right? Is an option, but it's not the greatest option for some of these gods. They're not all ability-based. Divine is definitely one for Sol, sure.
I would go
However,
Brawlers right away as Nemesis.
Toxic Blade?
Well, right now, CaptainTwig needs help from somebody, and Jeff standing right in the way. Last hit, but big damage coming out from BaRRaCCuDDa with the ultimate out of the Ho Yi. Juggernauts pick up the Gold Fury earlier on. Manticores bite back with a team fight in the middle lane, and that brings us again to a 3K lead for the Manticores.
It's a small window here where Juggernauts could actually try and return the favor of all the damage they've had done to them. They're looking towards mid lane here to try and pick up Jeff, but it's like not Jeff, emilitoo, but it's emilitoo with the long range hits.
And Aror did a lot of that damage. Now Auror's on the run. Shell comes through to try and get him out. Jeff taking that tower, and Emil finds another one under the tower.
The sustain is incredible. Kiki providing the damage. emilitoo with the shot, so masterful. Trips. Give me your own money, as my announcer would say.
Should be a fire giant from here. I mean, Only Variety and QvoFred up. Variety's ult is on cooldown. They're all full health relatively on this side. Manacor should be looking to take a Fire Giant fight and at least bait one of these members in.
I agree. This is a good call from them. You could get the tier 1 tower on right, but you're not going to bait in a fight like you did with Cubo right now, already committing the double dash.
Variety's the danger man, so I like the focus onto him. The frenzy pop early from Twig, trying to really burst him down, but the shield form keeps him alive until Aror will get credit for the kill.
They're like little insects. It's like moth to a flame the second, and that's the communication I'm talking about. We did a listen in earlier as QvoFred just gets, again, collapsed on by the anthill. That is the Manticores, and it was just so, I'm looking for this, I've got this, hey, he's dead. And it's just incredible. This communication is what's winning Manticores the game.
I just want to point out this is 3 North American members on this team that are with 2 European members, and they are winning this game.
Yeah, but look at what the European members are doing. Emilitoo 6-0-6.
Stop putting yourselves down. I'm trying to help you out.
No, you know what? This is a Barney, and it's all led by the dinosaur. Kiki is North American, and he's up top.
Barney, how many times? Tier 1 tower on the right does fall, and that's just going to give it a little bit more gold to them. 20 minutes in, 14-8, and we were talking about anti-heal. There's the Divine Ruin finally for Yammyn.
But I was too late.
I was kind of thinking potentially about Toxic Blade, and I know Toxic Blade has been talked about quite a lot, but these are a lot of basic attack characters on the Juggernauts, and Toxic Blade could potentially help him out here.
That's why we see the Witchblade on the Osiris. I mentioned it during P's and B's. Variety, QvoFred, Yammyn, and BaRRaCCuDDa are the ones that are all based. All of them are basically basic attack characters. Of course, you're going to see the Witchblade come out. This is as simple as 2 + 2 is 4 in my mind.
I really like the Witchblade on CaptainTwig. I absolutely agree with you there. Toxic Blade would be great on Variety. I think that's who I'd probably want to get that item on. Maybe QvoFred, especially with the type of build Cubo seems to favor on this Nemesis, which is auto attack style. I just think that I probably would have rushed Boots into a Divine Ruin if I'm Yammyn. I know that hurts the damage output, but something has to be done about this healing. I still think QvoFred could have gone Brawler's Beat Stick second item. It doesn't fill the same role as Stone Cutting, but you can get that Stone Cutting later. It's too late for the anti-heal to come online past 20 minutes.
Juggernauts really want to have control of this area, knowing that the Gold Sphere is coming up soon. CaptainTwig stuck between 8 different players, jumps into a 9th, and it's CaptainTwig that's half HP. I think he's going to go down here, guys.
Oh, no, he's not. Back to the tier 1 tower.
Sprint.
And this is buying time, because look at the rest of the map. Kiki's on the right, split pushing a tier 2. Left-hand side, there's 2 members.
He's got sprint. He just got M-ulted and sprinted away, and what are you going to do against that? Plus, he can speed himself out even more with that second ability, slowing you down. No chance for them to catch Twig.
I love how matter-of-factly you said that, because that's how matter-of-factly CaptainTwig did it. Me and Henry were like, oh, he's toast. And CaptainTwig is probably like, I'm going to have to use my sprint here.
I mean, I thought with his ult being down, ult being used, and then straight into another ult, I thought this chain would be good enough to bring him down, but not to be. Juggernauts on the defensive, and the benefit now is with the tier 2 towers being a little bit tankier. They've only got 1 left, but it could come into play.
Kiki's going all the way home.
Variety's going all the way
to
home.
the left side. Aror takes down Variety, and Kiki shows up just in the nick of time. JeffHindla under the tower, under the ground. Kiki again takes out BaRRaCCuDDa, and QvoFred. One more shot will do it, and that one belongs to CaptainTwig. They're diving a Phoenix with the tier 1 and tier 2 available. You know why? Because the right side, the dirty work was done by Kiki earlier in the team fight.
And where does emilitoo go? Straight through the middle Phoenix to get to that right-hand side where the minions are all grouped up and start looking for the Phoenix. The rest of the team not really with him, but now that he's got Aror, he'll be fine.
Look at that team fight recap. Does it look to you, based on the health bars of the Manticores, that the Juggernauts only did 2k less damage?
Yeah.
No, because they took no damage because they've got so much healing left. Keep in mind that, as we mentioned, that Lotus Crown ticks throughout that entire thing. It's 5 seconds for that Lotus Crown, even longer with the ticks.
Well, Variety's trying to run for his life in that turtle form as Jeff is going to commit. Big ult from QvoFred onto Aror, so he's going to try and shred some protections, but Aror is having none of it. JeffHindla's having none of it either because now he's dead.
Kiki's having all of it because he's just eaten all day. Another kill going to the solo lane. Crazy bat. Another kill coming his way. If Cubo sticks around, but the double dash gets him out of trouble. CaptainTwig goes for the jump, misses it, finds the tether. But as soon as the shield and the teammates show up, Twiggy wants none to do with it. But through the wall, TheBest reminds everybody why he's here.
Yammyn going to try and turn it around though with a fantastic supernova, but it's not enough to bring down TheBest. And Yammyn will keep the Phoenix on the left alive because, well, there's still 2 towers in that lane.
This is, I can't mention how incredible the communication is, guys. It's as soon as somebody gets in trouble. There's 2 players showing up to help. The play with Kiki pushing all the way up there because he had the teleport to make the transformation to the left-hand side, push him all the way into the base because they knew that the wave was pushed up. It's all about the becauses in this game, and it's all about the microphones.
And look at how they're splitting the map right now. They know they're under absolutely no pressure, so let's get Gold Fury at the same time that we get Portal Demon. Look at the healing from Aror. 27,000. Emilitoo has 1 million kills in this game and has done a kajillion damage, and he still has less damage than Aror has healing.
I was going to bring that up as well. When they were sieging that tier 2, the middle lane Phoenix, that was just 25. So it was about 3,000 healing in that one fight with the right and mid Phoenix. There was 22 minutes in the game. Aurora's healing over 1,000 HP, 1,000 HPM.
I'm just looking forward to going home tonight, getting him a rank game, and getting a hell support that's going to do 4K healing in 45 minutes.
No.
That's what I'm excited about.
Catch me banning hell every game.
Just in case that happens.
Yeah, just in case.
Catch Emilitoo.
From my own team.
Emilitoo laughing at Variety on the Horseman. Love it. Big Man Fire Giant started up. Juggernauts have to try and make this stop. Peel off of the objective is Manacors. Over the top comes BaRRa, looking directly for Aror. He is absolutely the target for the Juggernauts. The heals, the support, the sustain. He will remain. And the fight on the left side, it's going Kiki's way all damn day. Double kill for the Bat.
And meanwhile, Aror will finally go down eventually, but the fight is a different story. Best is going to get another member, and now there's only 2 left for the Juggernauts. Jeff's going to get a good wall up, but Variety's just not got the damage.
I'm pretty sure I can hear Aror laughing from here that they killed him and decided because of it.
Yeah.
Juggernauts, they got the healer, but who cares? Manticore's got the game.
They finally killed the hell, and then they killed themselves. That's what it was. They just, what are you going to do about it? Hey, guys, anybody want to take this bet? Hell ban.
100%. 100%.
Or you draft slightly differently so you can deal with a little bit more anti-heal.
100%.
You can go more anti-heal and deal with it.
$50, they ban hell.
I'm not saying they wouldn't, but they don't. they don't.
Oh, I see the BaRRa backstep from Hindu Man right here.
I mean, it's not backstep when I say technically they could leave hell up. They could go with things like Cullin.
Yep.
Cullin, anti-heal. Osiris, anti-heal. There is anti-heal gods in the game that could come into play and shut that down.
They could.
Or ban it.
They could do all of those things. But what should they do? And I think that's ban the hell.
Yeah, they could just ban the hell out of
Because
hell.
you can't even leave Odin open because Manticores are going to pick that immediately. They've got 2 Odin mains on their team between Twig and Kiki,
That's
so
true.
that you know they're going to be playing that. I don't think there's any way that Aurora sees hell again.
No, there's absolutely no way.
And then Aphrodite comes out.
Sure.
Bless up.
I mean, you say that, but it could.
No. Aphrodite, we did see some Aphrodite, and honestly, I think Aphrodite does have an application in the big leagues, but what it comes down to is Aphrodite heals one person. Aror controls an entire map.
Sure. And that's exactly what he did from, well, that's minute 11, but from minute 1, it was pretty much the same way. They've resustained and then
Look at that.
managed to find the long-range hit, pick up the kill. And we've seen Deathwalker playing this a lot on stream in the solo lane. Very flexible, this god, surprisingly enough.
I mean, Aror plays, hell is a mid lane. You can bring her off style into the solo lane, or extremely off style into the support role. That's just Aror. Again, that's just Aror. It's just Aror, all right?
Yes.
Unless you're playing in his games, then go for it.
Please no.
Do it. If you send me screenshots of you doing it in Agro's games, I will send you gems.
I have skin codes.
There we go. Skin codes and gems. The job is done. This is why this cast is going to be good.
Love it.
Just because I'm going to place higher than both of you guys combined doesn't mean that you have to try and throw my games for me.
Listen,
you know?
I was never trying to be a pro player. I just wanted to be a caster, and look where I am.
Same for me.
What about you?
Here I am, getting trolled.
The whole
My
time.
job.
So the best thing about this team that I do like, though, coming out from the Manticores, is the fact that Twig was talking to me before, and he was like, you know what? This is the best communication I've ever had in a team. And Twig's been around since the vanilla days, you know, the original days of Smite, and been to every single LAN that Europe could attend.
Twig's played with Reals, Twig's played with Zeros, Twig's played with Maniac, there are so many high-level players that Twig has played with that still, to hear him say that, and again, how many times did I bring it up in the game where you could visually see the communication happening in the gameplay.
And Agro, we did the podcast, and like,
Yeah.
you kind of sold me a little bit because you were all about the Manticores saying, "Hey, don't sleep on them."
This team is nuts, and you know what? It's not only the fact that they're all pretty good communicators. They've all been around a long time. Their tenure in the league certainly helps them out, not only in the gameplay but the communication aspect as well. But their personalities really seem to mesh for me. You look at the player cams when Aror, trolls people for 5 seconds, running around as hell. Everyone is just laughing on the team. They're all on the same page in what they feel about the game. And I don't know how Aror managed to find 4 other players that think about the game like he does, but God bless it, this team is region locked to other regions because they would be a scary roster.
Things haven't locked in yet, and players technically could move regions if they wanted to. No one's stopping them.
That's true. Well, the government might, but right there, Aurora.
Not to Europe, it'll be fine. Right? All the other come to Europe, it'll be fine.
Max Aurora Jackson here, and certainly bringing things to the maximum. This guy, and I really bring it up, I think, a lot. When I see a player that legitimately enjoys the game, it brings the enjoyment out of me as well.
True.
And you talk to these guys, and I mean, they have the same frustrations as everybody else, but I mean, these guys legitimately all enjoy the game. I think Emil might be the odd man out, but when you're surrounded by the other 4 dudes, even Emil, he's going to stand up, and everybody's going to really just have a lot of fun with it.
And talk about that team just a tiny bit more than the Manticores. For my eyes, on their teams they've always been seen as like the number 2 on their teams at best. They've never been classed as like the one on that team. TheBest has always had kind of a Zap around or somebody that's been like the number 1. Best has kind of been 2. Emilitoo, Yammyn and adapting above him too. Aror, he's always been around the scene, but he's never been classed. They're all the same. Like Twig, how many times can we say like these are all like number 2s that never get noticed?
Just like Zach said on the desk, these are a bunch of work horses. They've been around. They can do it all. They're willing to die for their teams. They're unselfish players.
Yeah, it's a really good thing that Zach said that. I think it was a really smart thing to say because they are the powerhouses and the workhorses of the teams and go very unnoticed for a long period of time. When across the way, their opposition today, they're seen as mainly number 1s.
I mean, this is the team.
I mean, Cubo, Variety,
Yeah.
BaRRaCCuDDa,
Jeff.
Yammyn. Jeff's up there for sure, and Jeff will admit he's probably not the best appointment, but he's up there.
It's just fun watching this group of glue guys really come out and really stick it to the opposition. And we were talking about communication, and I want to bring up TheBest real quick. He doesn't really say much, and sometimes that's the best communication. As a mid laner, I mean, talk about it.
Here's what you need to say as a mid laner. Help, I'm dying, and I've got damage to kill that person. That's all you need to say.
So when we used to watch you play, it was just help, I'm dying.
That a lot, over and over again. Yeah, I was on a team with Bro Chacho and Chapo. You think they're turning to help anybody?
He said it.
Wow, you know what?
The first time ever.
All done.
Playing on a team with Chapo, huh?
Wow, what an achievement.
He said
Does
it.
anyone else want to do this, by the way? We got tons of players, and you put me on this thing.
Taco and Totally dipped immediately. Then like 3 man.
Of course.
On him. Nope.
Of course they did.
Not gonna happen.
I'm the only one stupid enough to put myself in this situation.
Little bit.